Good morning, everyone. Let's jump right into teacher mode. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Good morning. My name is Dr. Daniel Kelvin Bullock, and I am the Executive Director for Equity and Professional Development. We would love to welcome you to our 2022-2023 Secondary Traditional Schools Kickoff. Give yourselves a round of applause this morning. As we start this morning, I want to thank the curriculum and instruction team, our beginning teacher mentors, our middle school principals and assistant principals for organizing an amazing cheer line this morning. A round of applause for our administrators. We are excited to be here in person with our middle school teachers to kick off the year. And we're also thankful for our high school educators who are joining us via live stream on YouTube. So shout out to our virtual audience also. We are gearing up for what we hope will be our best year ever. As a matter of fact, do not hesitate to use that hashtag. Hashtag best year ever, hashtag we are DPS. Without further ado, I would like to bring our leader to the stage, our superintendent, Dr. Pascal Mubenga. Dr. Mubenga, can you come forward?
Thank you, Dr. Bullock. Good morning, DPS. Good morning, DPS. This is a middle school crowd, right? We should be louder than that. Good morning, DPS. Thank you. Just want to welcome you to this wonderful academic year that we're going to have. As Dr. Bullock said, this is going to be the best year ever. I'm going to spend a couple minutes here to explain to you why we're saying this is going to be the best year ever. We have worked really hard during the summer to make sure that we have structures, processes in place so that you can have a wonderful academic year as well as our students. There's nothing better than planning. We did a lot of planning. As you're gonna see when you go to your schools, we have what we call non-negotiables. If you look deeper to those non-negotiables, it's pretty much giving us structure, how we're going to operate as a school district. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for those returning to DPS, and thank you to those brand new teachers to DPS as well. We are very grateful. I met with our DSA team yesterday. I said this to them, you guys had other options. You decided to come to DPS. For that reason, we are so grateful. This is a great community. We always say this, we are a progressive district. We believe in diversity. We believe in everyone can come and contribute to the cause of educating our students. Our staff, our teachers are very resilient, competent professionals, and caring staff. We thank you for loving our babies. We thank you for everything that you're gonna do this year. I'm here, your servant, along with my cabinets and your principals. We are going to make sure we are here to serve you. Please feel free to reach out to us. We are not perfect. We're gonna work really hard this year, not only to recruit, but to make sure we're retaining our most valuable staff that we have at DPS. We are working really hard with our board, our county commissioners, to make sure that we are the best. When it comes to compensation, we are one of the top 2 in the state, but we can do better. We have a strong teacher advocacy group that they know what to do as far locally as well at the state level. We want you to join in making sure that your voices are heard in Raleigh so that they can respect our profession. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the best year ever. In the next 2 weeks, the report card for schools, they're going to come out. I just want to tell you this. I've seen them. We are looking really good. In the midst of this pandemic, I was thinking that it's going to take us a good 3 years at least to start recovering our students. Can you imagine last year, in the middle of the pandemic, while we're quarantining staff, students, but you are still coming to do your best to make sure that those students are recovering. Yes, indeed, they did recover. And our data is saying that, and some of you that I met in the beginning of the year last year, close to the end, you saw the progress of our babies. For that reason, I'm grateful. On behalf of our Board of Education, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing DPS. At this time, I'm going to introduce our Chief of Schools, Dr. Stacy D. Stewart. Come forward.
Great morning, middle school teachers. Thank you for this opportunity to stand before you. Let me pause for a moment. This is deja vu. Every single one of you, you are a leader. Leadership is not about a position nor a title. If you inspire someone to become more, to do more, to be more, then you are a leader. And every single one of you are a leader. And leadership matters at every level. No, I'm not going to preach because I don't have time, but I can. But what I am going to say is I am grateful for this opportunity to serve as chief of schools. You will see me in every single building. You will see me walking in each of your classrooms, cheering you on. I know about the challenges that are associated with being a middle school educator, especially the 7th graders. They will love you one day and they will hate you the next day. Been there, done that. But thank you for this opportunity. As you can see, I may look a little different when I come into your classroom because I change it up, but I look forward to serving you. Thank you. And I follow instructions. I am going to introduce to you none other than Dr. Nakia Hardy, our Deputy Superintendent. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to follow Dr. Mbinga and Dr. Stewart. They have laid the groundwork as we think about kicking off the best year ever. We have a strategic plan in Durham Public Schools that ensures you have exactly what you need. Today, you're going to learn about all of the instructional resources that you can use in your classrooms. We have made sure our full-time release mentors and other support folks are here to work with our teachers. We have been thoughtful, just as Dr. Mbinga said, in terms of how we spend our dollars to ensure that not only your schools, but your facilities are going to ensure and set you up for success this year as our best year ever. I want to share just a few tips as you think about this upcoming year. I want to challenge you to be bold. I want to challenge you to take risk. In this second block, it talks about our professional learning communities, those relationships that you have with the folks that are right here in this room and are joining us virtually from our high schools. That's one of our key non-negotiables to ensure that we ignite the limitless potential of our students, but that you have the energy, the resources, and the tools to continue to accelerate learning. You will be super excited when you have the opportunity to see, just as Dr. Mabinga mentioned, that we're not going to be on this road for years and years and years because you have done the work. And you will see that success as you look to what you've already accomplished last year and what will happen this year. Allow yourself the opportunity to challenge yourselves, and sometimes that means making mistakes, but be bold in how you do that. And the last block talks about relationships. I'm going to share with you a video that really speaks to moments in time, but I want you to think about the power of relationships. In middle schools, as Dr. Stewart said, honey, they love you one day and sometimes they hate you the next. In high schools, they think they're 21 years old and they're still only 14. The power of relationships with your young people is going to ensure that they are at the best. The power of relationships with the folks that you are sitting beside. You have on your shirts, you are ready to go. You are connected to your school community. Lean on each other. The relationships that you have with your staff members, your colleagues, your principals, your parents, your community, that is going to ensure that you have everything that you need. Now, I want you just to take about 10 seconds. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about moments in time. As teachers, as educators, you have precious moments with your young people, precious moments with your colleagues. How will we ensure that those moments ensure best year ever? Javon's gonna make this video work. I know he can do it.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old and I was in school and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." So I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. So I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "No, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." And from that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me. And he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
Clint Pulver is now an Emmy Award-winning motivational keynote speaker, author, musician, workforce expert who has been a professional drummer for 20 years. He's played with the top headlining musicians. He founded the drum line known as the Green Man Group and went on to direct the drum line for the NBA Utah Jazz. Now, your babies are going to be older than Clint was in this video, but we know they have talent. And sometimes you have to really look deep because they're 13 years old and they're feeling themselves, or they're 18 years old ready to graduate. But we know you have the ability to ensure that you can not only see that talent, give them the opportunity to expose that talent and ignite the limitless potential of our students. I know you have the ability to do that. Challenge yourself this year to ensure that you see the talent in each one of your babies, that you use the moments in time that you have to connect to them, create the conditions for them to be successful, for them to be their authentic selves every day. And we know this year will be what? Best year ever. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bullock.
Thank you, Dr. Hardy, for your charge going into this school year. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Hardy. Before we bring out our special guest, I'd like to pause and thank all of the organizers of today's event, including a couple of key people. First, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Mr. Jerome Leathers, the principal here, for working with us and utilizing this amazing school, Southern School of Energy and Sustainability. Thank you, Mr. Leathers. I'd also like to acknowledge Ms. Heidi Perez, our secondary literacy integration specialist, for all of her work in planning, organizing, and coordinating with numerous individuals and departments to bring us together today. Thank you, Heidi. Round of applause for her. One more thing, a couple of announcements. We want you to visit the site, the secondary kickoff page website, where you can enter a raffle for free lunch from one of our food trucks this afternoon. We also want you to grab a snack on your way to your first session. So when you leave the auditorium after our presentation, you will be able to walk down the hall. There will be some snacks there that you can grab on your way to the session. And we also have signs along the hallway. These signs are where you can go to the site to enter the raffle and also to get information on the room numbers for each session. So now, last but not least, I'd like to introduce our special guest. DJ Rogers is a poet, spoken word artist, editorialist, and essayist born here in the Triangle. In June, DJ Rogers was named Durham's first poet laureate. Poetry is the foundation of his speech and thinking, and it is how he tells his own story. His love for poetry drives him to empower other people to tell their stories. At this time, please give a warm welcome to Durham's poet laureate, DJ Rogers.
Hey, good morning. My name, as Dr. Bullock just said, is DJ Rogers, and I realize a few things in this moment. One, the same problem I had when I myself as a teacher for 10 years, I still have, is that I was chronically underdressed. Two, I need a new headshot. And 3, I have a question. And you know what the beautiful thing is about questions? It doesn't really matter what question I have. The common thread I have seen this entire morning has been questions. When I was 9 years old, I was scoring so poorly on literacy tests that I was considered illiterate at 9 in the 3rd grade. And one day, my teacher pulled me to the side and said, he actually asked me if I could read. And I said, well, yeah, but I just can't sit there and read an entire book. They're too long. And he pulls out the collected works of Langston Hughes and said, have you ever read a poem before? And that was the moment that changed my life, because I didn't know that you could read an entire thing and it be 30 seconds long or a minute or 3 minutes. And so what I implore today is to remember a couple of things. We're going to start talking about curiosity. Even as educators, we are still learners, always. That was something that I carried with me throughout my entire teaching career, something I carry with me now in this new role as a poet laureate. I'm learning things constantly, like that I have stage fright, but something I didn't know until I was, what am I now, 33? Until I was 33 years old. Didn't know that was the thing I struggled with, but here we are. Constantly learning, constantly remaining curious. And so what I implore you to do, first of all, is to question. Question yourself when the questions strike you. Question the method when those 5 most dangerous words in our language creep up on you. It's always been this way. Question the institution always. Statistically, politically, in every strata, constantly continue to ask questions. Another thing I'm going to leave you with is the thought experiment that I would start my classes with every year when I taught, which was, and feel free to respond to this. Who here can tell me what 2 + 2 is? 4, excellent. Who here can tell me what the second derivative of pi is? That is pi. Do you know what the derivative? I was actually an English teacher. That's what makes this so great, is that I would do this in an English class. So anybody want to hazard a guess? So what I learned is pi is a constant, so the derivative of constant is 0. It's a little bit of a trick question. It's always 0. But the point is, had somebody guessed 0, my next question is then, what's your thinking there? Why do you say that? 99 times out of 100, a kid would say, I don't know, it was just the answer that popped in my head, because 0 is a really easy number that pops in people's heads, or they can't explain it. And so I've got a poem I want to share with you, and the poem starts right now from that moment. It isn't enough to be correct. You have to be effective. Oftentimes you'll look up to the stars and you will see question. And there's no shame in question. Question is the moment between thinking you were right and knowing you were wrong. Look at you. Heart, a bicycle built for anyone unafraid of a universe without training wheels, pockets full of stardust and know-how, and you. Anyone can know things. And despite your best efforts, people will refer to you as just anyone, and it will be because you are, and I swear this is true, not the main character. It's okay, I struggle with it sometimes too. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Everything that has ever been is dust, and everything that has ever been is the center of everything, and where you are, who you are, is the midpoint of something that goes on forever. Every single one of you is the center of the universe. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. It's okay to be unsure. We are born with infinite question and no answer. And by question, of course, I mean miracle. If we are made in God's image, then God must get bored. A lot. Maybe God looks around a room and wonders what happens if you run an electrical pulse through water too, or wonders if the earth really is flat. If something becomes true because enough people believe it to be true, there must be a little miracle in every question we ask. Does that make questions energy? Can you imagine? Can you imagine what the last thing you wondered was before you wondered it? Maybe it was the spark that ignited the fire that consumed everything. Maybe it was the light that proved that no night goes on forever. Maybe it was the word maybe. Maybe it was this very thought coming out of my head, thrown backwards in time. Imagine. What'll we be next? Thank you, DPS. Thank you for having me. Stay curious. Now I'd like to bring back Dr. Bullock to the stage.
One more round of applause for DJ Rogers. Starting us off with those bars. All right, so good morning once again. At this time, we are going to dismiss to our first sessions. So again, you will see room numbers along the main hallway that you will see down. Once you go out to your left, down that main hallway, all sessions will be down there. So if you have any questions, we have our beginning teacher mentors in their red shirts. We have our curriculum and instruction team in their, I saw some blue Spark shirts, and they can help answer questions and help you get to where you're going. Thank you. Hashtag best year ever.